Everybody, welcome back to Ox Talks. It is Thursday, October 5th, 2023. Just finished a workout. Normally I don't work out in the mornings. I'm usually an afternoon workout person. So still cooling down here, so I apologize for that. Just brief word on exercise. Guys, get your exercise in however you need to. It's really important for mental acuity. It's important for management and reduction of stress levels. And I think a good exercise regimen is going to be even more important in the coming times to kind of help us weather through this economic storm. Even if you take 30 minutes a day just to walk. I hear people say, well, I don't have the time. That's a poor excuse. Even if you're traveling a lot, you can go walk around the parking lot in your hotel. Most hotels have very simple gym setups. You can go down and hit the treadmill and get some cardio in. So I'll do another show at some point on exercise and my regimen and how I've changed over the years with it. A different topic, different day. But look, unless you have a severe disability, there's no excuse why you're not getting in at least 30 minutes of exercise every day. Okay, on to the topic for today. Recession 2024, ? CEOs think so. I saw an article from the Zero Hedge yesterday. It was in the evening, and it's entitled 84% of CEOs expect a recession in 2024. And the article lays out a nice chart comparing what the CEO's perspective is versus the Fed, the economists, consumers. Consumers believe that there's a 69% chance of recession in 2024, but CEOs, 84% of them. Not surprising, the Fed does not believe there's going to be a recession. But the point is, and by the way, the authority for this is cited in the article is the Conference Board Q3 CEO survey, probability of a recession over the next 12 to 18 months. So first off, what do the CEOs know that we don't know? And my answer to that question would be probably everything. These guys get intel long before the general public does. They have teams of people usually on staff who are researching, who are compiling information and data regarding spending habits, orders, the consumer's health or non-health. They know what orders are in the pipeline. They are forecasting what's going to happen in the next year or 2 years. So what does this mean to kind of carry through the theme from yesterday's show about owning your own business? What it means to me is seeing this coming, do your best to insulate yourself from this. And that means one great thing is start your own business, whether it's a side business or whether it's a full-time business. Do your best to create a scenario for yourself where you're hedging against what is coming. What type of business really depends on your skill set, what you like to do, what you feel able to do, and what opportunities you believe are out there that you could excel at. From my perspective, there is no such thing as a recession-proof business. I go back and think about the years in 2007 to 2009 with my law practice. And believe it or not, although that was the great financial crisis time frame, my business did extremely well. Being a business and real estate litigator, there were a lot of legal disputes. And I look back at revenues on those years, and they were some of my best years ever. So that obviously is a reality of my business. Sometimes during harder downturns or harder times, people need lawyers more and have more legal issues that need to be resolved. Whether they're trying to sue somebody for a breach of some kind of an agreement, whether there's a real estate dispute. In bad times, things come out of the woodwork, people come out of the woodwork, and we see an increase in litigation, unfortunately. But then in 2020 and 21, during COVID, obviously everybody was locked in their house for a period of time, and my business suffered because people were not communicating as much. People obviously weren't coming into the office. People weren't going to the courthouse. And, in my town, as I believe across many parts of the country, the courthouses just shut down. For a period of time, they basically took everything off calendar. No matters were heard. No trials got called out. There was no motions set. And obviously there was no personal appearance by any lawyers. As that started to work its way through the process and courts finally reopened after several months, then it was a completely different platform where we transformed from, me wearing a suit and tie every day and making court appearances before the judge. We went to a Zoom platform. And so, believe it or not, all court appearances were made either via Zoom or via a dial-in where you basically called in, via the phone and made a telephonic appearance. And basically to this day, that has not changed. Most of my court appearances now, other than trial, are done via the phone. You just don't have the interaction anymore among the professionals, going to the courthouse and having that, the old ways have changed. So it has impacted my business somewhat, and I think in the profession I'm in. So the point is that it depends on what type of business you're in and how you'll be affected, but just keep it in mind and process where you're at, what you're doing against the backdrop of 84% of CEOs saying that we're coming into a recession in the next 12 to 18 months. Just keep that in mind as you embark on hopefully what will be your journey to take the power back, give yourself some individuality, give yourself the ability to earn revenues outside of working for somebody else. One of the ways that I believe is a great opportunity to create wealth, and not only passive income, but generational wealth, is to acquire real estate. And I believe that will be a phenomenal opportunity in the coming years as we see this collapse unfold. You need to keep in mind, though, that from wherever state or jurisdiction you're in, one of the things that's very, very important, if you're looking to acquire real estate and then use it for rentals, rent out your real estate and enjoy the rental income from the real estate, keep in mind, you have to be super aware of the landlord-tenant rules in your jurisdiction. And I say this because given certain jurisdictions are extremely tenant favorable. I'll give you an example. Los Angeles County in early 2020, when the pandemic began, they issued basically a across-the-board moratorium against a landlord's ability to evict a tenant, whether they were paying or not. They just stopped evictions. So let's say you had a portfolio of rental properties in Los Angeles, and you have some tenants that now, because of the pandemic, aren't working or had their hours cut back and are coming on financial times. They can't pay the rent to you. You still have to pay your mortgage payment every month. You have to pay the taxes. You have to pay the insurance. You have to pay the upkeep, but they're not paying you. Now, what do? Well, if the local government says, well, you cannot evict them for non-payment, you have to have sufficient resources to be able to support that property for as long as those laws remain on the books. In this case, I believe it was almost 3 years before Los Angeles County lifted that moratorium. And to this day, they still have very strict laws, or let's say tenant favorable laws on the books. So do your homework before you jump in and buy a piece of property, because you have to, plan for a worst case scenario. People talk about having 6 months of reserves set aside to cover expenses for the property, if your tenants don't pay. How about LA County landlords, 3 years? So, there are some tricks, and you have to do the best you can to insulate yourself on the downside there as well. I think that supports the fact that you want to not overextend when you buy properties. Obviously, if you can, think about the ratio of debt that you're taking on, and give some real thought, depending on where this property is located, if you have enough backup in the event that another pandemic hits or some other unforeseen circumstance. And look, there's other things tenants can do to delay a proceeding if they're not paying rent. I've seen over the years tenants try to file bankruptcy. That delays the process. You have to go and get a bankruptcy lawyer and get a relief from the stay. I won't get too much in the weeds on that, but the point is that as a landlord, you have to take these things into consideration in your business model. I saw an article yesterday that is to this point, and it says Nightmare Airbnb guest has overstayed by more than a year without paying. This is from the Men's Journal. It was dated yesterday afternoon, October 4th. And it says a Nightmare Airbnb guest who has overstayed by more than a year in a luxury Los Angeles rental refuses to vacate unless she's paid to do so. As the desperate homeowner tries to evict her, a judge recently ruled that the squatter can stay for as long as she likes. The article goes on to say, now that a judge has thrown out the periodontist's claims, and that's the tenant, against Hershorn, the two are living feet apart as sworn enemies. Because the house isn't approved for occupancy, Hershorn is currently living rent-free. She's arguing through her lawyers that the maximum allowable rent for the unit is $0 and is seeking the return of the full amount she paid. So, obviously that's an extreme circumstance. That jurisdiction has extremely tenant-favorable laws, but keep this in mind wherever you are in the country, or I suppose around the world, when you're looking to amass rental properties as a source of either supplementing your income or making it your primary business. Okay, guys, I think that's it for today. I hope a couple of those items that we just covered are helpful, and appreciate you tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.